welcome to Detroit in Black and White, our Wednesday edition. Our resident fire starter, Vanessa Moss, is not with us today. He's back on Friday. Good evening, Jim Nardone.
Good evening.
Allan Lengel, co-founder of Deadline Detroit.
Good evening. Good evening. Do you have your TV on or something, Adolph?
Do I have the TV on?
I can hear.
Do I have the TV on? No, I don't think so. You can always spot something, don't you, Langle?
I very attuned to
You got something in your head, so is the TV on? I'm looking.
I'm very attuned to sound quality.
Okay. Well, we have a guest this evening. Her name is Pamela Pugh. She's a member of the State Board of Education. She's running for state senate in the 35th district. That's in Flint. There's a lot of shit going on up there. Can't wait to talk to her.
So she's the president, I guess, of the. She's the current president. Dr. Pugh is the current president of the Michigan State Board. So.
Okay, I did not know that. Yes. I remember when she ran. Okay, so see what she has to tell us. Allan, you was talking before the show started about some of the things that's been happening,
right,
in the country, in the state.
Right. On the national level, we see that the FBI raided the Fulton County, I don't know, the clerk's office or whatever, to try to get. They took boxes of voting records. There's still. Trump is still trying to litigate the 2020 election there. But, the interpretation down there is that more so he's trying to set it up to try to intimidate people down there, either not to vote or trying to intimidate workers or, election workers and stuff like that. It just seems like there's just so much waste going on in terms of the Justice Department and the FBI. They've been investigating James Comey, the former director of the FBI, who a Republican appointed prosecutor in Alexandria, Virginia, declined to indict, and also Letitia James, the Attorney General in New York. This person declined to indict those two, saying there wasn't enough evidence. One was for Letitia James, was for mortgage fraud, and the other was Comey for lying to Congress. The prosecutor down there, like I say, who was an appointee of, he was an interim, he was an appointee of Trump, refused to indict. They got rid of him, brought in one of Trump's peoples from the White House, who then indicted them. The cases were tossed out by the judge. There's just so much waste going on for investigations that are just really about vindictiveness.
Are you surprised because he got indicted and had to stand trial for several different charges?
Right.
And didn't you think he got reelected that's what he was going to do?
No question.
That's his MO.
He said it. He said he's going to go after the people. And, somebody just wrote a blog talking about the media. People in the media were like saying, "Oh my God, I'm surprised. I'm so surprised that this is all happening." All these things, and they're saying, "How can you be surprised?" I mean, I look at it sometimes. We argue over the severity of this administration, whether there is a severity there, but I look at it like it's like watching Wheel of Fortune, and there's one letter left to turn over. And people still don't see the picture. They still can't guess what it's at. But I think it's been clear when there are only a few letters up. But some people need every letter in there before they can read the message.
I see where the FBI fired all the agents that investigated the charges on Trump.
Right.
Hopefully they get their job back or get paid.
Yeah, that was their job. They got rid of a lot of who were investigating and prosecuting in the Justice Department, those on January 6th. They got in trouble for doing their job. I mean, if you see what happened on January 6th, I mean, look, did they overcharge? Probably on some people who were just wandering around the Capitol. They may have overcharged them. But look, we saw with our own eyes, despite what they say, we saw cops getting beat up. We saw cops being sprayed with chemical sprays. And those people are off the hook. You know, I just.
Well, several of them are back on the hook because they hadn't stopped doing what they've been doing. They've been charged with different new crimes. So.
Right. Yeah. There's people, all kinds of things.
Let's say hello to all our friends out there. Dwayla Boyce. Hi, Janet.
Hold on, Jim. Let me finish, please. It's okay. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I forgot. You derailed what I was going to say, but I can't remember. I'm still having a little flight.
Go ahead, Joe.
Dr. Pugh is here and on deck, so we should get to her. But I want to say hi to Edward Alt, Kenneth Reed, our old friend, Karen C. Winston. Hello, Karen. Good to see you. And we're going to talk, Kenneth. I'd like to talk a little bit about what's going on in Minneapolis, but after our visit with Dr. Pugh, if I could.
Is he going to come on the show?
She is. Dr. Pugh is ready. Should I put her on?
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
Hello, Dr.
Good evening.
Pugh.
Hello.
We're doing fine, Dr. Pamela Pugh. You're the president of the State Board of Education?
I am the president of the State Board of Education.
Madam President, welcome to the show.
Tell us that job, what that job entails, what you're doing as
well. You know, I was elected statewide in 2014 and also in 2022. The State Board of Education by Constitution is nominated by the party. Each of the parties, and I was nominated by the Democratic Party, and then we run statewide. And one of our biggest jobs is to hire the state superintendent of public instruction, which we just recently did. We hired Dr. Glenn Maleko, who took over the position of Dr. Michael Rice, who was there for 6 years. The State Board of Education is comprised of 8 members. Again, we run statewide. I'm a Democrat. We have 6 Democratic board members. We have 2 Republican board members, and we are responsible for education for the 1.4 million school children. Now, having said that, during the Engler administration in particular, some of our responsibilities were rolled back. The legislature is responsible for appropriation of dollars, and we know that the purse is what controls really what happens in our schools. They are responsible for the legislation pieces and policy. We on the State Board of Education pass standards, and we pass guidelines that go to our 800 plus school districts across the state. We also, I should say, communicate with the governor as well as the legislature, and we provide guidance to our legislature and the governor's office. And
where did you go ahead?
No, that's good.
Okay, the new superintendent, where did he come from?
He was the superintendent at Dearborn, in Dearborn.
What made him stand out among all the folks that applied for the job?
What I appreciated about him is his work that he did in special education. I will tell you that he has showed an ability to collaborate and to work across many sectors of I'll say community for a lack of a better word, but many sectors, whether it was within the education world, within working with policymakers, working with various organizations. And this is a time where we know that we need strength in those areas. And that's not to say that Dr. Michael Rice, who was our outgoing state superintendent, didn't have strengths, especially coming out of COVID, coming out of a Trump, two Trump eras of governance at the federal level. We've been up against a lot over these years that I've been on the board, but I felt that Dr. Maleko had the ability to carry that baton from where Dr. Rice left off.
Well, how can y'all fix Detroit, Flint, Saginaw, Benton Harbor, Muskegon? We got cities that school districts are just disappear. Inkster, Muskegon Heights, most of the Flint schools. How do we bring them back into the fold? Because we have a guest host that come on the show, Eric Brown, and he talks about literacy, and he's a passionate person when it comes to education. And he says that the state unfailed these districts. How do we bring them back to what they used to be?
I don't disagree. Our state, our government, our policies that have been prioritized, or what our government has shown over many years is that we are not prioritizing our children. And we see that in budget. I will say that we've had historical budgets under the current gubernatorial administration, but we are digging ourselves out of a hole. Michigan has been at the bottom when it comes to equitable funding. And we know that there are children. Let me just back up. There have been research studies that have been done in a bipartisan fashion that have shown that we are grossly underfunding our education system. So we know that children who have lower income, children who and communities that have lower income, we know that children who are English language learners and special education children, and many of those districts that you just named have all of that, right? And have higher rates in all of those areas. And we've grossly underfunded our education system. And we in Detroit had 7 school children who sued the state of Michigan. They sued under the Snyder administration, and then Governor Whitmer was named in that suit. My board members and I were named in that lawsuit, and they sued for a right to literacy. I helped them to sue because they were right. They didn't have books in the classroom, heat in the winter, air in the summer. Many of those schools have caving roofs. We have seen studies that have shown that we are billions of dollars underfunded for the infrastructure needs of our schools. And so we need to ensure that we are adequately funding and equitably funding our schools. I will say that. And then there's so many other policy pieces that we know that we need to see. As it relates to literacy, we've recently passed a package of bills that we hope are game changers. These bills take us back to the science. They take us to the science of reading. It's going to take a while before those bills are fully implemented. We have a few more years, but there is hope that we are putting much more focus in literacy, but also the historical budgets that we're seeing. We know that we have to provide a supportive environments for our educators. We have to make sure that our educators are respected and that they're able to that they have the freedom to teach. Let's say, for instance, our history. There are people who don't want our children to know this country's true history. So we have to provide those spaces for teachers to be the professionals that they are.
Dr. Q,
yes.
question, just back up a drop. When you're talking about the science of reading,
yes,
as you said it, what does that mean? How does that translate to class?
So we look at the hows and the whys of children, how they read, what they read. So I look at the science of reading of how I learned to read, old school phonics. So going back to simplify it, looking at the phonetic breakdown of language, I will say that, and training educators. We've trained thousands of educators. As a board, we've supported all educators K through 5, that this is mandated. We heard last month at our State Board of Education meeting, and maybe the month before, how school districts are implementing this, and they're already seeing some change. So when we talk about reading, when we say the why of reading, we're also making sure that we have materials in the classroom that children want to read, getting back to children picking up books because it's something that they want to read. And we know a big part of that is making sure that we have literature in the classroom that reflects that child, that the child can see themselves in those books.
Okay, we're gonna take a break. Come back with a quick. You got a quick question? Go ahead, Al.
I got a quick question. When we talk about some of the targeting of different school districts to different needs, like the socioeconomic issues. I mean, we know Bloomfield Hills, has great schools. We know that money, even though there may be parity in terms of per student, we see, Detroit has a reputation of not having good schools and having a higher failure rate, higher illiteracy rate. It seems like there's almost sometimes too broad a one solution for all when we're not addressing the issues of certain school districts. So maybe we'll pause and come back.
Yeah, we need to take a break. We'll come back and read some of the questions that some of our viewers have for Dr. Pugh.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
Okay. Jim, why don't you read some of the questions and then we'll go to Dr. Pugh.
I like one question.
Did we lose Dr. Pugh? These questions are for
good. But I'd like her to answer that one question if it's possible. So.
Okay. Well, let's read some of it.
Jill Sheridan. Hey, Jill, better late than never. We're just getting going, Jill. Good to see you. Reading and writing go together. Don't forget comprehension. Miss Sheila, 2129. Thank you, Miss Sheila. Deborah Harris, good evening. We're all well. I hope you.
Yes, I can hear you all, but for some reason my camera went.
Your video. Do you want to? There's a little video. Mark. There you go.
Where does school district gets funds from? Just millages? I think we need.
Well, in 1994, we passed Proposal A. And so we have the school aid.
Okay, as long as you can hear us, we're okay for now.
Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
I can hear.
Stephanie Jackson,
Okay.
Good to see you.
Can you? I'm here. You all? I'm good.
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay.
We got
all
you
right.
now. After 1213, we're reading some questions, Dr. Pugh, and if you see any that stick out to you if you can see them. Why haven't the governors, after England, reinstate what Engler rolled back in 1213? Kenneth Reed says Dr. Pugh is an excellent candidate for state senate. Plus, she has done an exemplary job as state school board president. You have fans out there, Dr. Pugh. Good evening, Mr. 1213. Karen, our hard-earned dollars are being wasted and the poor are getting poorer. Kenneth, we talked about Minnesota. We're going to talk about that later. We need to make amendments to our Constitution that will prevent this from happening again. Good evening, Adolph and the all-star team. I don't know where they are, Kenneth. Allan's here. Edward Hall, good evening to you, Edward. Janet, Dwayla, I think up there. For Dr. Pugh, if I could. Can you guys hear me?
I can.
Yes.
Are you losing me?
No, we got you.
Dr. Pugh, I think first, I would like you to tell our viewers where you're from, how your family ended up in Saginaw, and a little bit about your education, where you went to college. But I'm going to ask a couple other. I'm going to ask you this too. Your seat, I think you need to tell our viewers the importance of your seat. It was a Republican seat in 14 and 18, and it was won by a Democratic candidate. She is now off to the United States House of Representatives. So it's about a tie, right? It's 1918, Democrats, Republicans in the state Senate. Could you, after you tell everybody where you're from and how you got here and what your education is, could you tell the viewers how important this seat is for the Democrats?
35th District.
Absolutely. So I am sitting in Saginaw, Michigan. That is where I have lived for 54 of my 55 years of life. My parents moved us here. I was born in Mississippi, Newton, Mississippi. And my parents moved us here when I was a year old. My dad came here to work for Delta College as an economics instructor, as well as an administrator at the community college in the area. He taught there for 36 years. My mother raised us, and she was a parapro in our public education system. My parents are known for being were two of our parents of many in our community. So this seat that my education grew up for a little bit in a small area called Carlton, Michigan, which is a township outside of Saginaw. And then we moved to the city of Saginaw, where I graduated from Saginaw High School, went to Delta College and received my associate's degree, then went on to Florida A&M University and received a degree in chemical engineering, and came back home. Thought I was going to go back to Florida, but I began to work here. Ended up working for our county health department, doing work around children's environmental health, and receiving my master's of science and doctorate in public health from University of Michigan, and focusing on environmental health. So did 14 years in Saginaw County Health Department, helping to build out a program that focused on urban and childhood environmental issues, mainly childhood lead poisoning, and working across the state around policy related to environmental health, where children live, learn. And then I worked in Flint. I was asked to come to Flint to serve as the chief public health advisor there at the height of the Flint fire crisis. So that's a little bit about me.
Good, thank you.
I've been a small business owner as well, and woven in there in some of those years.
Right. Why is this? There's some funny stuff happening up in the 35th District. Tell us about it.
You want to get right at it, Mr. Mongo, don't you? So the 35th District is Saginaw Bay Midland. It's a seat that we have gone one whole year without representation. And what I will tell you, my parents always took us back to Mississippi. We go back often because they taught us our history and what they had to deal with. And what we're seeing right now is the worst that I've seen in my lifetime. And probably my father would say, resembles some of the things that they experienced in his lifetime. And we've been without representation in this 1 year. And
Why didn't the governor call for a special election?
listen, it beats me, but the crazier thing is that we're voting, and guess what's outside? I have to come in. I came running in, took off my hat, and slid into the seat because we are voting right now in the coldest temperatures. And so we're in our 9-day voting. The actual voting date is on February 3rd. I have no clue, but I would imagine that somebody had to know that this was not a good time for people to be voting, right? So
And this is a primary, right? This is your primary.
This is a primary. So the 35th district is a seat that we must keep as a Democrat. I know the importance. When Kristen McDonald-Rivet was running for this seat, I worked very hard to make sure that she was elected and that we maintained this seat. At that time, I was asked if I was going to run. I said, no, I have unfinished work that I want to do at the State Board of Education table. And it was time for me to run again. I had served 8 years and I was serving again 8 years. By the way, we get paid $3,300 a year to serve as State Board of Education members. And we
a lot of money.
The whole state. We represent the whole state. But instead of running, I ran for State Board of Education and was committed to that and helped Kristen McDonald-Rivet to win that seat. Kristen went on to become the congressperson. We've gone a year without representation. This is the 35th district. This is the seat that determines who holds the majority in the state Senate. And
well, the Republicans have a favorite Democrat in this race, don't they?
If they do, I don't know.
Well, there's some. I was reading where all kind of money is being spent, and people trying to control the Senate, which is real important. Now, if the Republicans keep the House and they control the Senate,
Well, what I can tell you, here's a couple of things that I can tell you, is that I won in 2014. And when I won in 2014, I was told the night that that the election was being called, when Democrat after Democrat at the top of that ticket was being told that they had lost their race to a Republican. I was told, Pam, go to sleep because you've lost too, since everybody at the top of the ticket in 2014, the gubernatorial election, the Secretary of State, the AG, go on down the line, had lost. We woke up, not only had I won, but I was the highest vote getter in a year that Republicans swept the top of the ticket. In 2022, when I stood very strong against MAGA Republicans, and they were telling me that you will never win an election again, and we will see to it that you don't win another election. Not only did I win, but I won with 2 million votes and again was the highest vote getter. What people know about me is that I serve and I've been consistent. I've stood for our children. I've stood up against MAGA. Like very few Democrats have. You can check my record. I've been very strong for people and policy that support people, and going against MAGA is what I've had to do in order to move that policy forward. What I will tell you is that we have raised dollars, and our dollars, only 4% of those dollars have come from PACs. We have raised from 2,000 people, most of those people being in Michigan, most of those people being in this district. We are a people-powered campaign. I have the most endorsements from the people in this district. What we are seeing is outsiders on the Democratic side, for sure, that are trying to control, and political insiders trying to control an election. And what people know about me is that I'm a person who stands up for the people regardless of whose side I am on. I am a Democrat. I've been a Democrat all my life, and I am the people's candidate.
Who is the party backing?
The party is backing someone who is not known, someone who has ran for a local a local school board election and lost, a person who has not had experience in standing in front of crowds and speaking in front of crowds, let alone passing policies and standing up to MAGA. And so that is what I'll say about that.
Who is he beholden to? That it's funny. This person come out of nowhere, and they all try to crown him the candidate.
What I will say is, what is disappointing is that I saw that 80% of his donors or donations, 80% of his donations are from PACs. 4% of my donations are from PACs from progressive organizations, such as Femmes for Dem, My List, Climate Cabinet, groups that are known to stand for progressive issues.
I wouldn't be surprised if DeVos and them was involved with some of those PACs, because they played a role in Detroit with Democratic candidates that they thought that supported their effort to change things here in Michigan. Allan, you have?
Yeah, I will tell you, I probably wouldn't be surprised either. What I do know is that I've fought very hard and been very vocal about billions of dollars that go to for-profit education management organizations. And those billions of dollars go through sweep contracts that we have no clue how much of those billions of dollars make it to the classroom. I've been very vocal and stood very strong and have pushed for policy that reins in that type of the lack of parity when it comes to transparency for our for-profit ran charter schools. And we know that the DeVosses are big proponents of privatizing our education system. So
you could smell them. They there. You fighting the Democrats and you fighting Republicans.
And what I will say is that when it comes to standing up and really genuinely standing up for working people, the lines definitely, they get blurred. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And I was told that Democrats wouldn't be getting involved in this race. But what I've seen is our Senate leader, just weeks after talking to her, that she had poured $50,000 into this person's campaign. What I would tell you is, in the last quarter, I outraised everyone. My Democratic candidate that was closest to me, I outraised them 3-1. I outraised them 3-1. There are 10 people in this election with the Republicans. I beat the Republicans in what they raised. It's just that they were able to put $100,000 of their own money in. 10 people in this race. When we count the number of donors, I had more than all 9 combined times 3. So I am still raising more from the people. It's just that we had Democrats that ran to the rescue of this candidate. And what is even worse is that I'm being squeezed from both sides. Today, while I was out, I got a call from someone from Midland who was telling me, Pam, I just got a voicemail. I'm sending it to you right now, where they are spreading lies about you. We've had mailers that have gone out where my skin has been darkened. And we know, and we have been told by Democratic leadership, that these were party insiders that sent this. It didn't take rocket science to figure it out. But what we have not heard is the Democratic leadership apologize for these what many would say are racist mailers. But what I will say is that we had a candidate in the AG's race, and we heard a rush to apology for that. And we've heard radio silence. I've had one chair in a Democratic primary within the district that has apologized. But we are still standing strong.
Where's the congresswoman at in this race?
The congresswoman, in unprecedented fashion, has aligned with the establishment-backed candidate. And what I know, I know that we have Democrats who use the term obedient, and they want people who are going to go in office and be obedient. And what people have seen for me, I will tell you the case in point with the children who sued, the 7 children who sued the state of Michigan. Again, I was one of the defendants that was listed. I went and got my own attorneys. I got counsel from Ben Crump. And I went and got my own local attorney, Jerome Goldberg, who's there out of Detroit, who helped me to ultimately sue myself. I went and I stood as a plaintiff as well as a defendant in that case for the right to literacy. And that is how I stand for the people. When Benton Harbor was going to be closed down, their high school was going to be closed down, we knew that that would harm the whole community because that school was a pillar for that community. I went against my Democratic governor and I asked the AG, Dana Nessel, for an opinion. And the opinion came back that that was not the control of the governor. It was the control of the State Board of Education. And so we
so now you know why now you know why they pissed at you. And some of these Democrats, they don't forget. Jim, you want to read some of the questions?
Yes, Pam is proving, Dr. Pugh is proving exactly why I would never be a card-carrying member of any political party. Our friend Eric Brown, colleague, proving once again that the Democratic Party is as racist as the GOP is accused of being. Thank you, Dr. Pugh, for explaining what you do. I believe you represent us well. I think we're kind of caught up. Thank you. I think we're good. Let her answer some of the questions. Mr. 1213, if there's a question that Dr. Pugh didn't answer, please let us know. Dr. Pugh received, I'm looking at this number right here, 2,068,706 votes in the 22 Michigan State Board of Education.
I didn't make it up.
and in 2014, 1.368 million, just 24.5% of the state voters for. So the reason I bring that up is this seems like a good opportunity. The people of your district are going to elect the next state senator, not the Democratic Party. And I think that's an important point.
Yes.
No question.
And they are. And you see, literally, I'm sliding in here. And because we are not leaving a stone unturned, because people need real representation. They need to know what that looks like. I'm a Democrat. And what I tell people, I've not moved from the Democratic principles. I've not moved. What we see are Republican light, moderates who have moved to fill a void that Trump has left, pulling the Republican Party, I say, to hell. And Democrats have rushed to fill a gap. I've remained a Democrat, so I will be a proud Democrat.
Can you look at the question? Can you see that, Dr. Pugh?
What happened? No child left behind. I can't remember what year it was. But the legislature, the Congress, passed Every Student Succeeds Act, and so that is what has.
We left a whole lot of children behind. Allan, you had a question you wanted her to answer before we move on.
Oh, I was going to ask about trying to sort of focus in on different districts based on whatever the issues are, socioeconomic differences or whatever, but we see such a large disparity, but we don't necessarily see a large disparity in the per student spending, but we see a large disparity in the outcomes.
Yes.
Is there anything being done differently to try to address?
Yes, a few years ago, there was a graduated formula that was passed, but we need to focus again more on that. So that means that districts that have more English language learners, children who have more students, a greater percentage of students who are special needs students, and as well as low income students, that those schools we should see greater school aid act dollars that go to those districts.
Well, how the campaign look?
We feel good. We feel that people are seeing through what's happening. What we need to do is make sure that we get people out to vote. So that is what
when is the election?
The election is Tuesday. The election
Tuesday. Okay.
Tuesday. We have people who are voting right now. Saginaw County is the only county, either Saginaw Bay, Midland. Saginaw County has the 9-day voting. And so we are pushing people to the polls. Listen, we have over 30 endorsements from clergy and growing. We have half of our Saginaw City Council, over half. We have Bay City Council, city commissioners. We have commissioners from the various parts of the district, school officials, school board leaders that are really pushing us forward, as well as a community in general. People understand that there are those from the outside who are trying to buy and influence this election. These are outsiders. What we know, whether I'm in Saginaw, whether I'm in Bay, whether I'm in Midland, people need to be able to pay to buy medicine and not have to choose between that and eating.
Right. Well, we want you to, after your victory on Tuesday, we're going to invite you back and see what's happening then.
Absolutely.
Dr. Pamela Pugh, President of the School Board, State of Michigan, thank you for taking time out from campaigning.
Check us out, pew-michigan.com, pew-michigan.com.
And thank you for your manager for weighing in too. Thank you for that comment.
Good luck.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good luck, Dr. Pugh.
Thank you all. Appreciate you for having me.
Thank you. She was good.
Well, it's kind of, I was going to
She
say
pissed off everybody.
But it's
She
not
did
fair
one
to
of my
her.
numbers.
I don't want to say that, but we're seeing a loyalty, I'll say, disgraceful exhibit of loyalty coming out of the Democratic Party with Garland Gilchrist, and now
there's no question. And the governor intentionally didn't call a special election because they was looking for a candidate. I know what the Democrats do. I was all part of that bullshit at one time.
Dr. Pugh spent her time the last few years of her life, however many years, getting these people elected, these Democrats elected to office.
And they run from her. Now she helped get the woman elected to Congress, and then and they go a different route. I'm not surprised. So yeah, that was good. We get her back, and whether she win or lose, hopefully she prevailed on Tuesday. Well, she still got to run an election against the Republicans, so it's not over yet.
She's a graduate of Florida A&M. I think we know somebody else that went to that school.
Who went there?
Isn't that where the former mayor went to college, Florida A&M?
Yeah, we know. Kwame, yeah. I was down there a couple of years ago, saw the campus. Florida State is right across the street.
What city is that?
That's Tallahassee, the capital.
Tallahassee, the capital.
Okay, let's take a break, and we'll come back and we'll talk about all the other stuff that's happening around the country and the state of Michigan.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Okay, welcome back. Mary Waters trying to introduce I guess, an ordinance, a bill, or whatever, on city council, saying that law enforcement agencies can't wear a mask, like cover their face when they go to arrest folks. What do you think of that, Jim? Is she wasting her time, or?
Well, I don't think she's wasting her time, and I don't disagree with her. The problem is this: it's the federal government operates under different laws than the city and the state. So they would just say, "Well, we're part of the federal government, and we don't have to worry about your state laws." But there's no reason, and I know we've had that discussion. Stephanie's been on. We all have agreements and disagreements, but I'm going to tell you this. When you become a police officer, when you become a law enforcement officer, people argue who's a law enforcement officer and who's not. That's fine. You take a step into that arena, and it's an arena. It's like whatever arena you want to talk about. You shouldn't be hiding from the public, and I have a problem. I have a problem with that.
Allan.
I agree with Jim. I think it's except with exceptions for people who are doing undercover work, undercover drug buys, whatever. When they're doing the raids, they don't want to have their faces shown. But other than that, I mean, these people are out on the street making arrests and stuff like that. I mean, the woman who was shot in Minneapolis, when you have somebody running at your car with a mask on and screaming, it makes it only that much scarier. It only escalates the situation that much more by wearing a mask. And there should be, like I say, if there's exceptions to it, but there's no reason for these people to wear masks. I know they're worried about, some are worried about being doxxed or whatever, but there's a balance here. We can't have everyone operating in anonymity. I mean, we do use anonymous sources in journalism only when we have to, but for a lot of times we demand that people have their names and speak. When we interview people on the streets, when somebody says, "I don't want to use my name," unless it's really so critical, I don't use them in the story. I mean, we want to have credibility, and the anonymity is scary for people.
So it's symbolic, but her point is important, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I think so too. It's not going to change things. I'm looking at what the debate that's going around the country, and we talked about it on the show, where we hear from a lot of Black activists saying that they got nothing to do with what's happening in Minneapolis, and those folks there are on their own. And I heard all kind of statements from folks saying nobody helped the Black community. We didn't ask for the Latino support for George Floyd, that sort of thing. Is that getting in the way of the protest, or is that just a back story?
I think it's not getting in the way, but I know the Free Press did a story on why Black people aren't participating in some of these events. And look, if you don't have the passion for it, if you don't feel it, but some of the excuses that are saying that we did, there were some people who said, well, we did our, protests way back. Well, some of those people of even our age weren't involved in those protests and are using that as an excuse by saying that. We say, oh, it doesn't matter, Black people aren't involved in it. We've seen we saw the Black family heading home from the basketball game with 4 children in the car who were just happened to be passing by, and they were attacked by, intentionally or not. A baby almost died in that situation. We always say it doesn't matter, it doesn't impact us. Well, I guess it's okay if you don't feel it, then you don't feel it. But to use excuses about it, well, they didn't help us or whatever. It's like,
Well,
look,
you gonna hear that. You gonna hear that, Allan.
The majority of people in the Black Lives Matter movement were probably white people, and there were a lot of white people who care about Black people, and there's a lot of, if we start always dividing America, that's the way people want to see that.
Well, you don't want me to start talking about the Black Lives Movement, especially here in Detroit.
Yeah,
I think the problem is division. I think, Allan, you hit it on the head. But there's too many. I watched CNN last night, and there was a lady on it. Her name escaped me. I've never seen her before, but she's written books. But she was really busy dividing who's killing who in our country and who's no. These are American citizens. I don't care if they're Democrats, Republicans, Independents. If they're climbing up on a roof and shooting another American citizen, I don't care what side of the fence they're on. That's irrelevant to me. All right. A couple comments. Black people are still waiting to see true equality. Karen Winston, thank you. I hate it happening, but I didn't vote for Trump. Deborah Harris, America is already divided and always will be. Eric Brown, not our fight. The Black family was a victim of circumstances. You're correct. We are not marching. Deborah Harris. When you sign up to be law enforcement, you know the risk. Why do you have to hide your face? ICE needs to go back to the border. I want to touch, if I could, I know it's controversial, and some people might not like what I have to say, but I'm going to say it anyway, if I may. And I'm going to try and be brief. All right. One, the Border Patrol was involved in a shooting, a killing, a homicide, whatever you want to call it. But I want to start with this. The police in every jurisdiction, there's thousands or tens of thousands of incidents with police officers and firearms in this country, probably every day, at least thousands. All right. I don't know how many thousands, but the local police, whether it's the New York City police or the small town Trenton police, they know how to handle these issues. And the government put the Border Patrol out there. Local police know how to handle this. These Border Patrol agents were trained at FLETC. It was in Georgia for 5 months. My guess is they came on before Donald Trump was president. So pointing a finger at they weren't trained is probably not accurate. I don't know that for a fact, but they go through 5 months of training. So there's really no excuse. All right. Because the guy didn't have a driver's license on him or his gun permit, et cetera, that's irrelevant in this case, has nothing to do with it. Every law enforcement officer in the country, I don't care if you're a federal officer, a state officer, county officer, knows the rules for deadly force. The discovery of a gun on this young man was not a threat, was never a threat to those officers, and they should not have fired. Ever. All right? They fired at a U.S. citizen for what reason? Because he had a weapon on him? He was rightfully disarmed by the only smart officer on scene. The only thing he didn't do right was, I guess, tell them that he had the weapon. They didn't notice he didn't have the weapon. I said in the last case, we need to let this play out. But I will say this, if the video is accurate and the fact that these Border Patrol agents should be criminally charged and convicted of homicide in this case.
I agree.
I agree too. There's no question about it. Allan?
No, I mean, if you watch the video, and I mean, if you had every publication, CNN and the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Washington Post, they've broken it down. The gun was taken from the guy. Even if he had a gun and, they had, 6, 7 people on him, they were beating on him. And you say, I mean, ideally he could have said, hey, I've got a gun and a permit. But if you watch how quickly everything happened, they sprayed. He was basically, some woman got pushed to the ground. He was trying to drag her away. And they were being bullies. I think the problem, now there seems to be some calm there because they realize the political implications are so horrible for the
Do you
Trump.
think you think so?
Yes, I think they're coming.
I,
No, I'm telling you, because suddenly they're like, I mean, like Senator Tillis, who's a Republican, who happens to be up for election now, he's saying we need a thorough investigation. Now, suddenly, initially, I guess these Border Patrol people weren't even put on administrative leave. They just said, oh, we're moving them out of Minnesota, but they're going to continue to work. Now they're on administrative leave. Now they're going to have a full investigation. I think they've come to realize this guy was executed in the street, pure and simple. He was executed.
I believe we need it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And so there needs to be a thorough investigation. But now it's happening because now, before it was like, Kristi Noem goes on and starts saying, oh, he was waving his gun.
a terrorist. He was a terrorist.
He was out to shoot. He was out to, cause mass damage and stuff like that. Totally. I mean, with no credibility, mind you, that's the same Kristi Noem who said that she met with Kim Jong-un and wrote it in her book and then said, well, no, it didn't really happen. I mean, these people have no credibility. They're ruining the reputation of these agencies, which have been really doing some good work over the years and important work, and they're just decimating their reputations.
Let me back up for just a second. I want to read a couple comments, Adolph, if I could.
Yeah, read it, and then we take a leave. Go ahead.
The investigation isn't independent. There's a lack of trust. Good evening. That was Jill. Tamari comment. There's another video that surfaced with him fighting with ICE agents on a prior occasion. Tamari, that may be true. That may be true, but that really has nothing to do with what happened out there with the gentleman down there on all fours. Why did they shoot? You have to identify a target. You're taught these things in a police academy. You don't shoot indiscriminately. You have to have a target. And there's none of that. They will not be convicted. Qualified immunity. Well, Eric, thank you for that comment, but qualified immunity does not apply when you break the law. And I don't know where you got the information that it does. Qualified immunity only works when you follow the Constitution. That's what qualified immunity is about.
When you're doing your job the way you're supposed to.
Wayne County Sheriff Washington said it was a murder. Mr. Duckett, who says I always stand up for the police, ICE's reputation is unrepairable. How about that, Mr. Duckett? DeWayla Boyce, I do stand up for the police because I know what it's like, and I have some biases just like everybody else does. But I'm going to say this, and I'll leave it at this. These will be my final comments, Adolph, because I know you want to move along. There's only two people responsible for killing this young man, if everything's accurate, and that's two Border Patrol agents. Whether they were put in the wrong situation is beside the point. They know what the law says. They know what they can do and what they can't do. And those two agents absolutely broke the law and should be penalized criminally for that.
Well, we could continue this conversation on Friday. And it's been a good show. Thank you, Pamela Pugh, Dr. Pamela Pugh, President of School Board, candidate for the State Senate, 35th District out of Flint, Saginaw, Bay City, Midland area. And thank all of folks that, made comments tonight. We'll be back.